Hey guys, it is Alison Creamer, and I am here today with Suzie Harris. Suzie is actually another real estate agent in a different brokerage, but we found that the common bond is the dynamics of customer relationship, and really thought that this was a great topic to talk about how we deal with personalities and perceptions and things like that. So what's interesting, Suzie, I'd like for you to tell where your background is and how you shifted into real estate.
Hi everyone, Suzie Harris, and I'm actually with Remax Central Realty today. And prior to getting into real estate, my background is most recently I was a consumer behavior strategist for Channel 13 WBEC out here. And that sounds super technical,
yes,
but
it
really,
sounds really important.
But you know what? I loved it. It gave me an opportunity to work with all 10 of the account executives there, and I had the chance to go in and help companies, whether it's multi-million-dollar marketing campaigns or $1,000 marketing campaign. And I could work with just about any type of business, plumbing, home improvement, medical. I was all over the place, which is good because it kept me on my toes. And then prior to that, I was a sales manager at the Virginian Pilot for just shy of 9 years. And then prior to that, I've had some fun jobs. I worked at a dating service.
Oh, wow.
I know, Great Expectations, timeshare for hotel management, all kinds of good stuff. So but mostly sales and marketing.
It sounds like the thread is people.
Yeah, absolutely.
It wasn't necessarily paper and technology. No. It was people. And so you shifted right into real estate, which this is kind of what we wanted to talk about, was the psychology of perceptions and the things online and how we handle some of those inbound calls or those relationships that come up. So one of the things that we were just discussing, the online perception of business and how we perceive it relates to our customer database. So what have you seen?
It's really interesting because there's a couple of schools of thought. The first thing is, I know from me and my marketing background, the first thing I want to do is I'm constantly preaching to companies, and it's been a big shift for me because I've been B2B for so long, business to business. Now I'm B2C. Yeah. So I'm finding myself where it's like every single penny counts with the consumer versus, I can deal with multi-million-dollar campaigns and people are like, okay, well, it's not really their money. And it's a business. So the attitude shift has been so different. But I always tell any company, you have to kind of put yourself as the leader of thought in the industry that you're in. So I try to post relevant articles. I post, relevant photos, before and afters, why you need to stage. And so I want folks that are viewing any of my social channels to say, hey, you know what? That girl knows what she's talking about.
Well, she's taking time to invest in the education and knowledge of your career.
Right.
I think that's important.
And so when, let's just say, by chance they're in a conversation and their family member says, I'm thinking about selling. I know this girl that really knows her stuff. They might not know how long I've been in the business, how many transactions I've had, but because I've positioned myself as that
knowledgeable in your field.
Exactly, that leader of thought. Not all realtors take the time to do that, though.
Right.
I mean, I really would say probably only a fraction of people do that because they think that they don't have to.
Well, when a new agent comes into the industry and I have an opportunity to talk with them, I've had a few new agents see what I do and they go, oh, I want to do what you do. Right. You get to spend so much time with your daughter and you get to do this and you get to do that. But just like what you were saying is, over the last 10 years, I have positioned myself through drips to become what I am today. And it took that little effort of the posting and the relevant content. And then that built relationship and personality. And we were also leading into what we put online can sometimes look overwhelming or underwhelming.
Yeah,
so it's
absolutely.
You have to be very considerate of all the stuff that you're putting and decide, are you blending personality or just business? Right. I tend to blend personality and business at the same time. But then there's a bad thing with that. We were talking about whether or not we want to take on a client.
Right.
And whether or not a client thinks we have time for them based on the content that we're building.
Yeah.
So that's another concept of thinking, what do I put out there? Do I look too busy? Mm-hmm. Do I look like my price point has gone too high and now I can't help somebody in the 150 range?
Exactly. Yeah, I know folks are, I've had, I don't know what it is about investors too particularly. They love to work with, a dozen folks at the same time, right? They all have us scurrying around like the Greyhound track, racing to get that good deal for them. But, you're totally right, because it's like you want to post, hey, I just helped, sell this $475,000 house. Congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Jones. And then what does that say to that person that can only afford 150? Oh, yeah, well, I can't really work with Alison or Suzie
because she's now
she plays in the $500,000 range, and that's really not where I play. And that's not the case. I mean, I feel like if you're a $100,000 client, or if you're a $500,000 client, or even more, it's your house, and where you play, that's where is so important for you. That's your budget. And the emotions are all still there.
If you're a $100,000 buyer, you should get the customer service of a $1 million buyer.
Absolutely.
And you should still feel the same. So if people are looking at these high-end agents, and every agent is different.
Right. Absolutely.
I can't speak for every single agent in the industry. Last I heard, there was 6,500 of us.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I believe that.
Yeah, but only about 20% of us are full-time.
Right.
Actually working the business as a career. But I think that people need to look at who's investing in their knowledge, education, and who is treating this as a full-time industry. And you can see that through... It could be through marketing. Some agents choose to print, mail, farm marketing. You can tell that they've invested into their career. And then some of us are using what I call social media or passive marketing to put those things out there. Yeah. But those perceptions are crazy.
They really are, and it's interesting. And then even like I was just talking with the girl last night, and she. She said, I really, really want to buy, and I could just hear it in her voice, and that's really what I want to help people. When you hear that, and it's like you could be the catalyst to help someone achieve their dreams, it's like I actually have to sometimes hold back the tears because I get so excited and just as knee-deep in the emotion because we could help make or break this dream. Yeah. Right? So we could really, like I got the chills, like we could really be that person to help someone, guide them through getting their credit on track and guide them. And maybe you're not going to buy a house with me in next month. But if I can get you on track in the next 90 days and I get you working with the lender of mine and we get you in your house in the next 6 to 9 months and we get you into the school district that you want, I am thrilled. I go to bed knowing I helped somebody. And that's why we're in the business that we're in. Regardless, again, of price, right? Because it's just as important for that $100,000 buyer as it is for the $500,000. I mean, it's just where you play. While you might work at the car wash, or you might work at, be a telemarketer or whatever, and that's your family. This other family might be a doctor. That's okay. That's where they play. But the home is still home, and it doesn't have to be a mansion. It's just a place where you call home.
Yeah. I agree. So another thing that we were just going to touch on was not all clients are clients that we want to take on.
I know. I don't want to give out my rose every time.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. You're a Bachelor fan?
Yeah, for sure. I think we've met them. And I think a lot of times when people have had a bad experience with realtors, with a realtor, how about that? Not realtors. I mean, it just takes one, right? So it takes one where it's like either they were, courted hard and then they got them on contract, a buyer broker agreement, and then next thing you know, they never heard from them again, which to me is insane. But I don't know, you have to kind of look at the client, and then when your potential client you're talking to, and this happened to me a few times, but when your potential client that you're talking to, I had this guy, and he said, yeah, I've had a lot of bad experiences with realtors, and so, the first thing I said, well, I'm sorry to hear that. And I said, well, hopefully your experience will be a lot different with me. And he was very skittish to work with me. And I'm like, okay, that's totally cool. Because I had to pull it back. And I was like, I'm actually not sure that I want to work with you. Because if you've had issues with multiple realtors, what are the issues? Let's talk those out real quick. Almost like, I'm going to have you tell on yourself because I want to know.
There are some appointments that we go on, and I think there's a realtor or a service person for everybody.
Yes.
But sometimes our personalities and the way we do business, we know from the very beginning it's going to be a rocky road.
Yeah.
And there are times that I have recognized that I'm not the best choice. Even if the client was okay with working with me, I realized that I probably was going to let them down and fail.
Yeah.
We talked about investors.
Yeah.
I am not an investor agent. Bottom line.
Yeah.
I have one that I've built a great relationship for, and I am his listing agent. That's it. I don't seek out properties for him to buy. I don't crunch numbers. I've come to recognize what my assets are, and if a client interviews me and I can tell this is not going to go well, my online reputation and that word of mouth is far more important than that commission.
I would agree.
And I will pull back, or I'll refer them to somebody who I think would do a much better job.
Yeah. And the interesting thing is that guy, he's now emailing me all the time because he wants to work with me. And so it's almost like, he thought I was going to be after him, like pouncing on, just trying to get his business because we were looking at very high end homes. That's not it. It's like, it's all about personality. I'm the same way. It's just like,
if you can't get to the end of the rainbow and a good experience, you're working for nothing.
Yeah.
And you're just creating a bad reputation.
Right. And you're gonna end up frustrated. Here's another one. I have had where when you work with friends.
Oh.
Oh yeah. So that's where it's like, I did a blog on that in particular. It's like, you just have to ask yourself, because sometimes friends will really take you to the next the next level. So
Suzie, we met in the beyond this podcast. This is going into my 15th year of doing real estate, and what I've done, and the most recent client that we just put under buyer broker is a friend. But the first conversation after I found out they wanted me to help was, okay, business hat is on. When can you meet me in my office for a consultation? When can you follow the same protocol that I follow with every other client? Because for now, I'm not your friend, I'm your advocate. And we literally cut that kind of casual conversation, chit-chatty, and I went right into business mode with them. I didn't plan on meeting them at their house. I didn't plan on just making it convenient whenever. I kept the same format for them as I would anybody else. And at the very beginning, they knew that I took this serious and that they needed to be serious. Yeah. And it started the first foot off just right. So I think if friends can't respect the business side and say, you know what, you have to make an appointment to meet with me in my office during business hours, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, just like we would anybody else, because this is a serious commitment, then that, again, might be somebody that you end up referring to somebody else.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I had a listing, and I was working with the husband, and he's the only one on, he was the only one actually on the paperwork on the mortgage, but he did put his wife's name on the deed, so she ended up having to show up, and I'm friends with both, but more so the wife. So I didn't realize what was going on, but I didn't find out until at the closing table. But wifey was really pissed off at the dollar amount that the husband sold the house for.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't know. And I really felt like she couldn't even look me in the eye. And I'm like, what happened? I had no idea. And then it was when the closing, the gentleman that was handling the closing said to the wife, is this what you expected? And she said, no, absolutely not. But this is not my house, apparently.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, wow.
Well,
Not one time had I ever had a conversation with her, because it was him. He's the one that was responsible, and he just really wanted to get rid of the property. He said, I don't care if I break even, I just want to get rid of the property. Yeah. And so at that point, I mean, I got in my car after we were done, and I started to tear up because I was like, did I just lose a friend? And I didn't even know what I did. Had no clue.
Yeah.
And so that bugged me. And so I ended up calling the husband later on. And I said, I have to ask you, what happened? Like, I had no idea that your wife was going to be as furious as she was. And she is a friend of mine. And I know this is a business transaction. I go, but the way she handled herself at the closing table, and then she had words with me in the parking lot when we were getting in the car. And it was just like, I felt like, and I told him, I said, I felt like I just lost a friend of mine. Yeah. And I didn't even know. And so that's where, when you're dealing with friends, even family members too, it gets tricky. Yeah. You want to do the best that you can, but at the same time, you also want to maintain your sanity too.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Sometimes it's easier to refer a friend out to somebody.
Yeah.
Or, we as professionals have to hit that dilemma head on and immediate, and draw that line of, wait a minute.
Yeah.
We weren't discussing this as friends. This was a business transaction.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, as we wrap this up, I hope what the listeners end up hearing is, real estate is personal.
Yeah.
It may seem like dollars. Yeah.
Both sides. Yeah.
It absolutely. And that your agent sometimes is dealing with the same dichotomy as the client and trying to feel out those relationships and where's the line drawn, friendship and business. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes not all clients and agents work well together.
Yeah, I had when I was talking about the whole fine line between friendship and client, it was like I just said, you have to ask yourself, would you fire you?
Right.
And if you would, probably, because sometimes it's hard, because if they're friends and then they call you at all times, they call you a lot, even when you're trying to take a vacation, they still call you, and it's hard because they're you don't want to let them down, because it's real personal, but it's always personal, I think.
But would you say, and this is just what I've learned over the years, is I literally, the moment I know I'm going to go in business with somebody,
yeah,
I give them my hours. I set the stage at the very beginning, because expectation is where things can fall apart.
That's a great point.
And I immediately let them know that we've merged into a business relationship. Just like any other professional, there are time limits, there are hours of business, there is, expectations on both sides.
Sure.
And I want to make sure that I'm meeting their expectations, but they have to meet mine too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's a gret point, Alison, for sure. So,
well, yeah. Suzie, I'm glad you came in. I think sometimes these conversations are interesting to hear, not so sell, buy,
right.
but just the business of real estate and the relationship of real estate and what agents' perceptions are, and then obviously what we think our customers' perceptions are.
I know. We're never too busy for your referrals.
And that's so true. When I had my daughter, everybody's like, oh, she just had a baby, I'll go somewhere else. And it broke my heart. It absolutely broke my heart. But it's okay. God is good, and I got more.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
So, well, we're going to have all of Suzie's information in the blog post as well. Suzie is now with Alex Nova's team and Tina Nova. They're very good friends of mine from the very beginning of my career. So you are in good hands.
Yes.
And is there any last words that you want to say?
No, I appreciate your time, and I think this is awesome, and I think it's really nice that we sometimes have different types of platforms just so that the common consumer can hear what we are going through, because while it is business, we really, really care.
Yeah, I think sometimes people just attach a dollar sign to us as well.
I know, yeah.
Instead of a relationship in a business.
That's why teachers teach, right? We love real estate. We love helping, but it's homes.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
So. All right, guys. Well, if you have any questions for Suzie, her contact information will be in the podcast and blog notes. And thank you for coming.
Thank you for